Well, we have a great military, and they're doing a fantastic job. If we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before.
If you're wondering why gas prices and global markets are suddenly acting nervous, one word is dominating the conversation: Hormuz. The Trump White House is now in an all-out public fight with major news outlets over one claim. Was the administration prepared for Iran to close or disrupt the Strait of Hormuz or not? Today, I'm going to walk you through what the White House says, what CNN reported, what lawmakers said afterward, and why the answers matter for your wallet, U.S. troops, and global stability. This is a fast-moving conflict, so I'll stick to verifiable reporting and clearly label what's confirmed versus what's disputed. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the world's most critical energy choke points. When it becomes unsafe or is threatened, oil and shipping markets react immediately. This is happening in the context of a major U.S.-Israel strike campaign on Iran that began on Feb 28, when Reuters reported that Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, was killed, and Iran warned the strait was closed, with traders expecting oil prices to jump. Here's the core controversy. CNN reported that the Pentagon and National Security Council significantly underestimated Iran's willingness to close the strait, and that the administration now faces severe constraints, including the claim that naval escorts were viewed as too dangerous in early stages. CNN also reported industry requests for escorts were rebuffed, and that officials discussed phased responses, including economic measures. But the Trump administration's response was immediate and furious. According to The Hill, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt called the CNN story 100% fake news, stating the Pentagon had planned for this contingency for decades and that the idea senior defense leaders weren't prepared is preposterous. The Hill also notes CNN later added a clarification acknowledging long-standing plans existed, while sources said there were no near-term solutions presented. That White House post explicitly argues the military planned for this for decades and cites statements from Senator Tom Cotton and Senator Tim Sheehy pushing back on CNN's reporting. So what's the shock admission here? It's not one single sentence. It's the fact that even with decades of contingency planning, reporting indicates near-term solutions may be limited and risky, and the public argument itself signals how serious the economic fallout has become. Another key development, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth acknowledged that even with air defense upgrades, the U.S. can't stop everything Iran fires, while still asserting U.S. air dominance. This is important because it resets expectations. The administration is projecting strength, but senior defense leaders are also warning the risk remains high and that some strikes can get through. One of the biggest online claims right now is about U.S. weapons stockpiles and interceptors. Politico reported that lawmakers have discussed war costs and that there are warnings the U.S. is running short of certain key munitions, while Hegseth denied the U.S. would run short. So here's the policy-safe way to interpret it. There are public warnings and political debates about stockpiles and costs. Source: at the same time, defense leadership is projecting that supplies are sufficient and won't share quantities for operational security. Source: a big part of why this story is trending is not just the war, it's the information war. On one side, CNN's reporting describes a policy process that may have underestimated the likelihood or impact of disruption and suggests that dangerous realities on the water could delay escort options. Source: on the other side, the White House and allied officials argue the reporting is false, pointing to decades of contingency planning and classified briefing attendees disputing the portrayal. If you want to keep this video neutral and strong, the key is to present both claims and then focus on measurable outcomes: oil volatility, shipping risk, and statements from officials about what's possible right now. Here's what is verifiable from major reporting. The war began with large-scale strikes and global energy fears. Reuters reported Iran warned of Hormuz closure and markets expected oil to jump. The White House publicly labeled CNN's Hormuz preparation reporting fake news, with Leavitt stating the Pentagon planned for this scenario for decades. CNN's later reporting emphasized that long-standing plans existed, but near-term solutions were not clearly presented, and that escort operations were viewed as too dangerous early on by some officials and industry sources. Hegseth acknowledged the U.S. can't stop everything, while asserting U.S. superiority and sufficient munitions. Going forward, watch 4 indicators: escort policy and shipping behavior. If escorts expand, risk shifts to U.S. assets. If escorts don't expand, commercial shipping may avoid routes and costs rise. Oil price messaging: the White House is pushing temporary disruption framing. Markets may disagree in the short term. Munitions interceptor debate: look for congressional funding moves versus Pentagon confident statements. Risk acknowledgments: we can't stop everything is a rare admission in a high-confidence messaging environment. This story isn't just about politics. It's about whether a critical global choke point can remain open during a major regional war and what Americans end up paying for that reality. If you want, I can also create a 30-second shorts version of this script for extra reach using the same sources. Like, subscribe and comment. Do you trust the White House's "we planned for this" message? Or do you think the Hormuz fallout proves the risks were underestimated?